One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One of the greatest achievements of the 20th century, or the single greatest hoax ever pulled. Probably the first one, but we wanted to be sure.
Well, I worked for the government for 21 years at the Ministry of Defence. I spent 3 years investigating UFO sightings, and through that I learnt an awful lot about the psychology of belief, and particularly conspiracy theories. Whether it's moon landings, JFK assassination, Diana, more recently 9/11, people love the idea that the government is putting one over on them.
They've got the flag up now, and you can see the stars and stripes on the lunar.
So our first thing, that flag, surely that's fluttering in the wind. There is no wind on the moon.
Well, what's happening is the astronauts are moving it around, trying to actually get it in. Now, because there is virtually no atmosphere on the moon, there's no air resistance, so once you move something, it carries on moving.
The fact that there's all sorts of shadows around here might suggest that that looks like an old film set. That's a Hollywood basement right there.
One of the arguments is shadows point in different directions,
Yep.
but I think that if you are dealing with a surface which is not even, you'll often find that shadows aren't exactly parallel, and this is something that people can actually test for themselves, so don't take my word for it, try it for yourself.
Well, we might have to. Space is full of stars. Why can't we see the stars?
Most of the things that people were taking photos and films of on the moon were actually quite reflective. To take those images, the shutter speed has to be very, very quick, and you don't get the stars. I mean, an analogy would be if you stood under a street lamp and took a photo of the night sky, you wouldn't see the stars.
Now, a moon rock photographed on the later Apollo 16's mission marked with a C.
If this was done in a film studio, you'd think, wouldn't you, that you would take something so obvious off in the first place. So in effect,
You'd
well,
hope.
you would, and in fact that defeats the argument.
Now, my favourite response from any of those astronauts to these hoax theories is Buzz Aldrin, of course, who punched somebody in the face. For fear of Buzz punching me in the face, I'm going to give it to the astronauts.
Yeah.
Houston, Apollo 11, that Saturn gave us a magnificent ride.
So, Nick, you're clearly a government stooge sent here to confuse us even further, but you've done a very good job of it.
Well, I may have worked for the government, but I know my science.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
I find it, quite insulting to people who have put their lives on the line.
Or actors.